Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unscripted Access, episode number 105. You're here with your host, Nick McCandless. On this week's show, we have Anthony Utah.
Hello.
And Bronson Fiore.
Video games! They're happening.
All right, so we're going to be doing a spoiler cast for Destiny, so we're going to try to limit it somewhat, but last Unscripted Access, we were just getting around to playing it. We were just kind of getting the feel of it, playing the full game. Some people hadn't even played the game at all. Anthony hadn't even played the game at all, I don't believe. Yeah, because he was just unboxing his PlayStation 4, and that's when we found out that Anthony got a PlayStation 4.
It was so awesome when I did that.
That was awesome. That was a pretty.
Let's talk about that for a second. How is the PlayStation 4 after 1 week, Anthony?
Yes.
It's a game console with a lot more power and social media features. I didn't really dive that deep into the PlayStation 4. I mean, I just set up my PSN account on it, looked at the PlayStation Store, which doesn't stutter, found that it has party chat, looked at through the friends list. Didn't really use any social media features. Didn't bother linking my Facebook. I just saved some random screenshots from Destiny, and yeah, it is a safe, faster game console. That's what I personally think of it.
Video game.
So Anthony is
it feels like a safe system, whereas the Wii U while the Wii U feels more like this daring experiment, which at this point may have backfired. With its gamepad and Nintendo venturing more into Nintendo Network and Miiverse, the PS4 just kind of feels like the logical, reasonable, common sense, safe next step forward. Which, considering what they did with the PS3, makes a lot of sense. And it's working pretty well.
Considering the PS3 was obviously designed by a bunch of people on hallucinogenic drugs.
Guys, let's make a supercomputer.
Let's
make a new.
It sounded. I'm not gonna lie. When they announced it, it sounded amazing.
It sounded like the future arrived 20 years early, but then everyone realized it wasn't really quite the future.
I remember when they first announced it in 2005. It's just like, yeah, you can hook this to two 1080p displays with dual HDMI ports and have it be one big fucking screen, and I'm just like, this thing is either going to be astronomically priced or the dumbest piece of technology in the history of ever. Like, they were saying shit like, oh man, these cell devices will all connect with each other and there'll be all the power games together, and just like all this crazy shit. Like,
remember the boomerang?
That was funny. Yes.
The boomerang controller.
Versus every decision with PS4 was like, this makes sense. This was not designed by crazy people. Like that. That's the general vibe I'm getting. Versus
the PlayStation 3 was like a beta for the PlayStation 4.
Well, they did a pretty darn good job fixing the PS3. I mean, after realizing that they were building an $850 console in $2,006 and selling it for $600 and losing $250 a system, they're like, okay, damage control time. Take out the flash memory, readers, throw out all the PS2 parts.
The console had memory card readers.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, they pitched this thing to replace your PC. You could actually, way back in the day, install Linux on it. You literally could turn this into a computer.
I did that once, and I did it for a couple days. I'm like, yeah, this is stupid.
It still has printer support. You can fucking hook printers to that thing and they'll work. That's the weirdest shit ever to me. Yeah, man, it's... Oh, God. It's such a... You look at that system and you're like, man, Microsoft saw the future and made a console around it. You guys most certainly did not. And it's not to say that it's a bad thing, but it is to say... But you do have to think that, what caused this stupidity? And it's like, they didn't think online gaming would be as big as it was, that's obvious, or the social features. They didn't give a shit about, the PlayStation 2 was a pain in the ass to program for, and they're like, well, we're top dog, so, we're gonna make this thing, we're gonna have this crazy floating point performance, and guys just gotta figure this shit out. And, you can tell by the fact that, like, Mark Cerny did a talk on the making of the PS4 versus the PS3.
I love that. As a computer engineer student, it was exciting.
Yeah, like...
Granted, to a lot of people, they would just pass out and fall asleep because it's such a techie talk, but, man, it was fascinating to listen to that guy talk about when they sat down and talked about, okay, so what should we do with the memory structure of the PS4? That was exciting.
Yeah, like, I'm not even a computer science major. I'm not a big computer science guy. I can build a PC and maintain my own computer. But I still find that stuff really interesting. And it's crazy to think about all just the fucking horrible decisions that went into PS3. It's just like, we're going to just make this weird architecture. We're not going to make it a social system. We're going to fucking, we're not going to put out dev kits in English. Like, the fuck? So you would get these dev kits, and they're all in Japanese, and if no one at your studio speaks Japanese, you're, fucking well, too bad.
When the PS3 came out, when the PS3 came out, I just loved how when the guy talked about the hardware software, it's like, we spent 99% of our, I think he said like 99% of the time, we spent 99% of our time on the hardware. We only spent like 1% of our time on, we only spent 1% of our time on software. So when the PS3 came out, there wasn't really any good debugging tools, which, I don't know, if you are a computer programmer, you kind of you really do need debugging tools to, I don't know, find bugs in the program.
Games?
Yeah, to make your games, like, freaking, yeah.
I mean, I remember when the 360...
The thing was, Sony came at it, they destroyed every other console with the PlayStation 2. Like, no comparison. And Sony just came in with the PS3 thinking they were just going to wreck shit. No one was going to compete with them. They've got the most powerful console. There's no competition. And they thought they could do whatever they want. And they thought, okay, we're going to make the most powerful console. Developers aren't going to complain if they don't have the best system. The best debugging tools and development kit. Because guess what? They're going to want it on our platform anyway. And boy, were they surprised.
Well, I mean, when Microsoft... I remember when they unveiled the 360... and had their big E3 talk, and literally everything I'd been asking for to improve on the original Xbox, they did. I wanted being able to talk to my friends and being able to play different games, because at the time I was a big online gamer. They did it. I wanted custom soundtracks in all games. They did it. I wanted a better and even... They did it. Like, the Xbox 360 felt like a powerful... Who is getting chased by the...
Sorry, there's something going on outside of my apartment.
Okay,
No, so you see what the real story is.
If there's something I've learned about
right now.
If there's something I've learned about sirens in Reno, 95% of the time it's an ambulance or fire truck. It isn't really the police.
Every time I'm in a car with my friend Panda, it seems that an ambulance is nearby. Like, I have started to joke with her that, like, why are you, like, what do you do before I show up? Like, that's my honest to God question, because I'm just like every time that you're around, there's a fucking ambulance, like, So, I don't know, man, but like I was saying, like, the 360 felt like something from the future, and it was priced really well. $400 is expensive.
At the time.
But, yeah, $400 is expensive, but it's not, like, it's still mass market.
It's expensive, and this was in $2005.
I mean, granted, that's before a recession, which, I was a teenager when this thing came out, and I managed to get that kind of money, so, granted, I had to mow a lot of motherfucking lawns, but still, the fact that it just felt really futuristic, and everything about it felt really smart. Like, being able to pull up my friends list from any game. Like, we take that for granted now. Like,
remember before PS3 had in-game XMB?
That was the dumbest shit! Like, why the fuck was that a thing?
Wait, XMB on PS3?
Yeah. Okay.
I actually like the XMB when it's not spammed. What?
the XMB is great. What's not great is before, I believe it was the same patch that added trophies. It was like
it was version 2.0.
Yeah, it was 2.4, I think. But before they added, they added trophies and they added in-game XMB. So, but because before they had this patch, you could not access the XMB in games. So if you wanted to access your friends list,
you had to exit the game.
You had to exit the game.
It was bad.
To access trophies, you had to leave the game.
No, trophies didn't exist.
To access XMB at all, you had to exit the game.
Yeah.
So basically it's the equivalent of, I want to go to XMB, and then the equivalent today would just hold the PlayStation button is the only way to access XMB. So it's like, turn off controller, turn off system, menu.
Yeah, okay, so you know what, when you hold the PlayStation button now, it brings up quit game, change controller, etc.?
Yeah.
That's what happened when you pressed it. You just did not go to the XMB. The only way to get the XMB is to quit out of your game.
So if you wanted to respond to a message, you had to quit the game first.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that you received a message. Actually, let's see. How do you get games going with your friends?
Okay, so Ellie and I have done this experiment.
I mean, I understand. I understand the Wii was hilariously bad.
Like the PS3 wasn't as bad if you were both playing the same game. That's at least one thing it had going for it. It's like, okay, you're both playing the same game, you'll be able to get each other's invites. But what you would have to do, like, let's say I'm playing Resistance 1 and Anthony's playing, what was an early Madden, Madden, we'll go Madden. Let's say Anthony's playing Madden, I'm playing Resistance 1, and I want to play a game with Anthony. Well, I'll send Anthony an invite, and he'll see he has a message. So he'll have to quit out of Madden, go to his messages, and he'll see that it's an invite to Resistance. Now, to accept that game invite, he has to put in Resistance, go to the multiplayer, and then accept the invite. I mean, there was so, like I said, we take a lot of shit about the 360, that first, a lot of those features for granted now. Like I said, just you talk about in-game XMB, that not being a thing. You talk about, cross-game chat. Like, yeah, on 360 it was only one person at a time at first, but it was still a thing. Achievements, that's another thing. Like, I know that some people aren't into them. I know Nick's not. But, like, achievements and trophies, they wouldn't be around if it weren't for Microsoft. Nintendo still doesn't have their version of it. So, like, the 360 felt like something from the future. It really did. Like when those three consoles were out, the 360 was the one that felt the most like, this is what's bringing stuff to the table.
I agree.
Like
the PS3 was like, wow, the hardware. Because the PlayStation 3, from a hardware standpoint, definitely had much better hardware than the 360 did. But it's like, outside of the hardware, everything else was lacking. It's like, yes, it has great hardware, but what good is great hardware without good software to support it?
What good is powerful hardware if people can't even make anything for it?
I mean, like,
let me tell you this, okay? And let me tell you this. Game Boy Advance is a great example. Game Boy Advance is a freaking amazing thing to work on. Why? It's so easy. It's like, hey, I want to make something for Game Boy Advance. Well, it's got the ARM architecture processor, which ARM is like literally like today, like the world's most popular type of processor. It's like everywhere from your 3DS to your phones. It's everywhere. And not only that, but because it's so simple and it uses stuff that people easily know how to make stuff for, it's very easy to find tools for it, and then tools for it for really cheap. And because it's simple enough, it's also cheap to make. So it's cheap to make, so everyone buys one, but it's also easy for you to make stuff for it, so you make lots of games for it. And you're turning a pretty decent profit, and you can sell your games cheaply and still make a good profit because it's such a nice system to work on. And I made a game for the Game Boy Advance, and it's nice. It's quite nice. Writing a game for Cell I'm pretty sure those guys had to buy a IBM Cell handbook that is like thicker than an Xbox One.
I mean,
like
you have
freaking
to.
That's how thick the Cell book probably was.
I mean, you have to think that I love the PS3. It ended up being my favorite console of that generation, but there's no doubt that, like, even now, to this day, the 360 is just a more enjoyable platform for the experiences that are like, okay, I want to invite my friend to a game. I want to be able to talk, chat with my friends. Like, everyone on 360.
Heck, being honest, as far as the interface and the matchmaking experience, the 360 is better than Xbox One. Just being honest.
That is true.
This is very sad, but it's very true.
The 360, like I said, it felt like it was from the fucking future. I remember when I had that thing that first year, other than the 2 times it broke.
The good old Red Ring of Death.
The first one actually wasn't a Red Ring of Death. It just kept freezing for no reason. But yes, the Red Ring of Death was a common occurrence for me. I've had 9 Xbox 360s. Granted, only 7 of them broke. But still.
Only 7?
Only 7 broke. The other 2 were... The 9th one is my current one. And then the 8th I sold to John. So... I look back at... I look at the PS4, and it just seems that, Sony and Mark Cerny, just every possible decision made sense. It's like, alright, we're not going to make this thing ridiculously asinine overpowered. We're going to design around an architecture everyone knows. We're going to make it affordable for consumers. We're going to go out to developers early and get them to make stuff for it. And it's really paid off. And I feel Microsoft is the one who got cocky this time around. It seems that what happens is some motherfucker gets cocky every time. That's what happens. You look at the NES and the Super Nintendo did great. Nintendo's like, N64 is gonna do awesome. What's this PlayStation garbage? We don't need CDs. PlayStation lays a beat down. Now, to be fair, PlayStation was such a beatdown that PS2 just kind of got a free pass, basically, to the win. DVDs helped, and the fact that Sega was just retarded also helped. But I look at the PS2 success, and I'm like, it didn't really have competition. Because Sega was going bankrupt, didn't have much going on for them. Nintendo made a system that didn't support DVDs, and then Microsoft was new, and people were unsure.
They weren't just new, but they just kind of rushed that thing out the door as fast as they could.
Plus, that thing was a monster. That thing was so big, and the controllers, holy crap!
The reason why it's so the controller is kind of funny, but the reason why that thing was so big was that they didn't exactly take much time to do what Sony and Nintendo did, which is design their system around a certain size or something like that. What they did was they just went up to Intel and said, we need a Pentium 3, and then they went to Nvidia and they're like, we need a GeForce 2, and then they just cobbled it all together and called it a game console.
No, okay, I gotta send you this article or ebook, whichever you would prefer, of the making of that system. The original Xbox, the making of that system is fucking fascinating to me. It's like a bunch of dudes think that, man, if we could make a console that sort of acts like a PC, we could own the living room. And they're right, because, you look at the PS4 and Xbox One, they are a fucking hair off from being a PC. You put productivity software on these motherfuckers, and they're PCs. They're... So... Anyway, like I was saying, and what they did is the talks with NVIDIA and Intel were taking too long. They kept scrapping designs, so they pretty much just said, okay, yeah, we'll instead of making a custom GPU to make manufacturing cheaper over the time, we'll do off-the-shelf parts. which means that's why the system they lost so much money on that system just because they didn't have custom designed shit and they couldn't reduce price. That's the same reason you didn't get an original Xbox Slim too, is because that same reason is they used off the shelf shit and they used off the shelf stuff and that caused them to be just generally more expensive. What else? Like that, but you look at the original Xbox, and it was the most powerful system. It had the best online. It had the best interface. You could rip CDs to it. You know, like that. That system was awesome.
It's and it was high definition,
and it could do HD. Granted, not many games supported it, but still, it could do it. And that was really awesome. The problem with it came from lack of developer and publisher confidence, because, well, Sega just tanked, and Sega was around for 20 years. Who the fuck is, but Microsoft realized that, hey, this is just our foot in the door. The next one is where we make our mark. We just need to survive and do well. And they did. They did really well. Well, they didn't do really well, but I mean, they beat out the GameCube. So, it's... Yeah, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I'm trying to figure, like, the best way to describe it is that was their foot in the door, and then the 360 was them actually, like, saying, hey, we're gonna win it. And if Sony did not rebound as fast and as hard as they did, they probably would have gotten blown out of the water. Like, if they would have
absolutely. They came back hard. I mean, they started dropping the price. They got their exclusive titles. I mean, they started pumping out games like they got Uncharted, Metal Gear,
Little Big Planet.
Yeah, like that's when they started picking up.
But yeah, like that. 07. Like I look at 07 from the perspective of a PS3, and I'm like, okay, you have the multi-plats, but almost all of them are worse. Not all, but most of them are worse. And then you have a worse online. You're more expensive for, Blu-ray player, but at the time Blu-ray wasn't super big yet. In fact, so...
It was the cheapest Blu-ray player for quite some time, though. It was the cheapest,
but it's... And quite frankly, now, I'd still rather... Like, I would still encourage people to buy a PS3 rather than a Blu-ray player, because if you get a smart Blu-ray player... I was at Walmart the other day. If you want a smart Blu-ray player that does the stuff that the PlayStation 3 does, it'll cost you roughly $140 to $120, and I'm like, I would just pay $200 for the kind of GIMP system, or $250 to get something.
Yeah, especially because it has a hard drive in it too.
Well, it has a hard drive. You can rip CDs to that thing.
Yeah.
Like I loaned my spare PS3 to my mom for ages until I sold it to put down money on a PS4. Now my mom uses my 360. But yeah, like I think that the Xbox One, like we haven't talked about that yet, is the Xbox One was a case of they got cocky, and
to them it was all about they wanted to media, like they wanted to own the media space, like this whole the TV integration and like stuff that gamers don't really care about. Like, yes, it's kind of cool, but it's like I think that Xbox One that came out $400, good exclusives, none of the bad press.
I mean, like if it had all that and even then wanted to push Kinect a little bit, it probably would have been fine. Because the Kinect stuff is really cool. It's just that they focused way too much on it. If they would have just said, "Oh yeah, it does voice controls," and we're not going to charge, we'll take the hit on the cost, fuck it. But they don't, they decided to not do that because right now I think the Xbox One has better exclusives right now. I think that, I thought Killzone was really good, and so was Infamous and Transistor. Well, Transistor's on PC, but I had way more fun with Forza and Dead Rising was great, and that Dead Rising DLC was stupid and amazing. And Killer, like I said, Killer Instinct, and this year we're getting Sunset Overdrive and that Halo collection. Yeah, Little Big Planet's great, but it's still like we know what that's gonna be.
Yeah,
Like,
see, my thing is like right now, like with the current games, I personally think the PlayStation has a better exclusive. But that's just because I did not like Dead Rising at all. I'm not a fan of Killer Instinct. I'm not in the fighting games. I do like Forza, but like I said, my Xbox is my Forza box right now. Like that's all I play on that dang thing. Whereas Sony, you gotta look at Killzone was good, Infamous was amazing.
Transistor was great. Transistor was so fucking good.
Yeah, Transistor. I haven't played that, but Resogun.
I mean, we're talking downloads. Like Super Time Force was great on the one. I really enjoyed what's the name of that space shooter? We just got it for free too. Son of a bitch. It's Strike Suit Zero. That's
But
it.
then at the end of this holiday, I'd say that I'd probably give the slight edge to Xbox One just because, yeah, PlayStation 4, we have Little Big Planet and Drive Club, but then Microsoft has Sunset Overdrive, they have Forza Horizon 2, they have the Halo collection. But then next year, it's just like, unless Microsoft has like just a ton of games we don't know about, there's just really no comparisons. Beginning of next year, we have the Order 1886 and Bloodborne. Just for the first few months.
That's February. Both those games come out in February. That's nuts.
Yeah, Sony's going to have a really good early 2015.
Yeah, like that's fantastic. That is a great way to open up your year. But Microsoft always does this though. Like they always save their best shit for the holiday season. Like every single time it's like, oh, Microsoft has nothing. And then they come out to E3 and they show 2 or 3 games off that look awesome and they come out that fucking holiday season. I mean, going into this year, we were like, wow, Microsoft really doesn't have jack crap. And they showed off a Dance Central. They showed off Season 2 of Killer Instinct and Phantom Breaker and the Halo collection. Like, the Xbox One currently, and by the end of this year, will have a lot of great stuff for it. And the PS4... Thankfully, like the PS4 has a lot better press going for it. It has the advantage that Microsoft had the entire 360 of all my friends are on PS4. Like that was such a huge advantage.
Multi-plats looking better and running better.
Yes, exactly. But like the biggest advantage on 360 for fucking years was all my friends are on 360. So I'm gonna buy my multi-plats over there. Like regardless of looks, if you're buying if I was buying a multiplayer game, I was buying it on Xbox because that's where my friends were. Like that's just how it was. Same thing with I remember buying Call of Duty. Like I wanted to buy Call of Duty on the PlayStation, but I always bought it on the 360 because where was Andy and Quinn and everyone gonna be? It was gonna be over on the 360.
Right.
And now it's the other way around. Like everyone I know, except like 2 people, bought Destiny on the PS4. No one bought it on Xbox One. Like that, and it's not that the Xbox One is a bad console. Like I use it for a while there. I was using it more than my PS4. But Titanfall. That's another Xbox One that came out this year. Yes, I know it's on PC, but it's this case of like if someone came to me and said, "Which system should I buy? I can only buy one." I would say, "Well, what games do you like, and where are your friends?" Because I feel this generation especially because there's gonna be so few exclusives this gen, right? Like that, like you look at it and it's like unless you are made by Sony/Microsoft. The chances of a third-party exclusive are slim.
But I wouldn't say there's not many exclusives because Sony has a lot of first-party studios.
Well, so does Microsoft, but it's a case of like the majority of what people want to play. It's like everyone wants to play Batman. That's on both. Everyone's going to want to play the next Grand Theft Auto. That's going to be on both. Everyone wants to play Call of Duty. Both. The next Titanfall will be on both. These games that everyone wants to play, with rare exception, are going to be on both platforms. So it's going to come down to, well, what media features do you like, and where are your friends? And Sony, with that early lead, has the fact that, oh, well, all my friends are on PlayStation 4, so I should get it on PlayStation 4 or buy a PlayStation 4.
Right.
That was the biggest argument for Xbox Live at first. Like, Anthony, you bought a 360 purely on the recommendation of Kenneth and I. So.
Well, yeah, it wasn't just like Kenneth and you. It was just like, dude, you gotta get an Xbox 360. Get a 360. Get it. And for Kenneth, it was like Gears of War because he was the biggest fans of Gears of War back in the day, and everyone was talking about Halo, which I didn't care about, but because like people talked like it was like the only game console that existed. Yeah, the Wii existed.
This was
like the
07,
Wii existed.
mind you.
The Wii existed, but nobody took it seriously, or at least lots of people don't take it seriously. The PS3 was way too expensive for me to ever think about at the time, so that just left the 360. And I knew I wanted a Wii. I wanted a Wii more than a 360 at the time. But, I worked really hard, and, my parents were like, okay,
Anthony,
we'll buy you a 360.
Getting a Wii over a 360 is never a bad choice. Mario Galaxy, motherfuckers.
I know, because I was a little enamored by Nintendo at the time, made even more powerful by the fact that I had played Twilight Princess on the GameCube, which, best game I've ever played, so that kind of has a huge effect as to why I wanted to get a Wii. But they said, get a 360, so I got a 360, and I got a 360 about like a week and a half before Halo 3 came out, but did I buy Halo? Nah, I bought Oblivion. And loved it.
Yeah. It's been interesting. Very interesting seeing these consoles go, but let's go into the news. We've had our console discussion, so before we get into the news, Destiny, we'll talk about it a little bit, like I said. We're going to go really in-depth with a spoiler cast hopefully soon. But let's go ahead and give our reactions now that most of us are either reached level cap, went beyond it, or almost right there. I'm loving the game. Like, it's funny because it's like I have this strong love-hate relationship with the game. It's like all these big outlets are giving the game like 6s. And I can understand where they're coming from. The story's not good at all. Some things in the game, they just lack some of the MMO elements that you would expect the game to have.
It's really repetitive. Like
it's extremely repetitive, and it's just like the environments. There's not many environments. Like, yes, the environments are beautiful, but it's like all the Earth missions, you're pretty much doing almost the exact same thing. It's like, okay, go here, have your ghost scan this. As he takes forever, you have enemies that you need to fight off.
All right, guys, I made a drinking game. Okay, you take a drink every time that your little robot guy scans something. You chug if you have to defend him while he's scanning something. And then third rule is you're gonna die of alcohol poisoning before you get off the moon.
Yeah, so it's repetitive, but at the same time, the game is like my crack cocaine. Like, I can't stop playing the damn game. It's crazy. It's like, this has got to be probably the most successful, poorly rated game of all time. Like, it's getting 6s from like everyone. Yet this game's selling millions, and they still have millions of people playing this game online. And that's definitely why they waited to give out review copies, because unfortunately we live in a world where review scores, I should say, can make or break a game. Bad review scores from a couple outlets can keep a lot of people from buying the game. So they decided the route of, okay, let's go ahead and send them the game to where they can't review it before the before the release date. That way we sell copies based off hype. And yes, of course, a lot of its success is because of the hype and the 300, however many millions of dollars they're spending on marketing. You watch football on Sunday, it's like every commercial break, it's Destiny. So, yeah, I mean, the game's awesome. I love the game. I mean, the more I play it, the more I like it. And I'm always looking to complete bounties. There's just so many things to do, and I love the game. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of very frustrating things. The story is very lackluster, which that isn't too big of a deal with me because I wasn't expecting an amazing story. But the story is pretty lackluster. It's like, we won't say anything because we don't want to spoil the game, but there's really not much to spoil. The ending of the game's it's actually kind of funny how the game supposedly ends. Because
Man, do I want to rant about that.
It's like they try to end a game that's not supposed to end. It's really funny.
They tried to end it, but at the same time, they're like, we're gonna try. No, we want to cliff. No, we want to end cliff it. So it's either an ending or a cliffhanger, and it was just kind of like a case of it's like this game is supposed to last forever, but I can't tell what they're trying to do here.
Right. So, but yeah. But
I mean,
I'm currently level 21. So basically, how it works is the cap's level 20, but then you can get past 20 through light, which is you got light weapons, light armor, and you equipped light armor, and depending on what it is, it raises your score. That's your level. That's why you'll see people, if they're level 20 or below, you'll see them in white. But if they're above it and they have a light armor attached, they're like level 23 and they're in yellow. That's why. It's because of the light armor, and it's not easy to find. Like, you have to grind a lot in this game. A lot.
So for those of you who've played MMOs, it's the thing for me is, first off, I found the fastest way to grind is PvP. Matches are they're faster than strikes. You have a chance at loot no matter how bad you suck. And it's just a quicker experience. That said, that like this is probably the worst grind I have seen in a video game since when Mists of Pandaria came out. They're like, hey bitch, you have to get exalted with all these factions. I hope you like dailies. And it's the same shit. Like, it's just, I mean, I know people who have been playing PvP nonstop and just got their first piece of epic gear with light from the Crucible. You know, like, it's ridiculous. And I feel as though Bungie doesn't get, like, they don't get the fact that this is still a shooter, so you have to have some of the shooter pacing.
That's like the other thing, too. Like, actually, I wanted to talk about it. This is what I want to talk about. Is in a traditional MMO, it is an RPG, and you normally have a case of where each person has like a very specific role. For example, this person is like a defender type person who catches the attention of enemies. You have one person trying to keep everyone alive, and you have like maybe 2 or 3 people, spewing as much damage and magic and sword and bow power and arrow power as they could on the thing. So people have roles. So, and long fights are okay in those games because they have phases, okay? You get the boss down at 75% health, it switches to phase 2, and you gotta change up your strategy a bit. In a shooter, everyone kind of does the same thing. Yeah, you have classes, but at the end of the day, you're basically just shooting at something. And Bremen and I had this frustration when we were doing a mission on Mars where we had this boss that we had to take down, but the boss took forever to go down, and not only that, but if you get hit like by a missile, you're just completely obliterated.
Hello?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Anthony, yeah, cut out.
Oh,
okay,
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, okay. That's true. But not only that, like, well, there are some phases to these fights, but they're really simple. I hear the raids do actually have phases to fights, more like traditional MMO raids. But even then, though, it's just like, why do I care? I mean, I feel that they were trying to make a shooter as, like, Diablo, but a shooter. And they don't get that part of the reason that Diablo is so addictive and fun is that you're constantly progressing. You are either constantly getting gold or gear or crafting items, something that can help you. It's the same thing with Borderlands. And in this game,
I love Borderlands.
Yeah, exactly. And I love Diablo. And the thing is they don't get that has to be a very quick progression. Getting gear in Destiny can feel like a fucking chore at points. Like, it's just, because you have to do those same strikes and missions over and over if you want to get gear without PvP. I like the PvP, so this really doesn't bother me much. But, like, John fucking hates this game's PvP.
Yeah, I don't care for it. But I've seen,
Yeah.
like, I've played some PvP, and I noticed, like, holy shit, I'm getting better armor, I'm getting better weapons, like, and much quicker, too.
And you're getting rep faster, too, because, remember, the average PvP game is 10 minutes. How long is a heroic strike? I've had heroic strikes take upwards of 30 minutes. You know, like a heroic strike is 30 goddamn minutes long, and it's like, why wouldn't I gear for raids through PvP? You know, because like you don't need to be good, you still get rep for doing it, and you still have and the gear is through a random number generator when you do PvP. So basically, you don't really have to, like, you just play, and that's a lot more entertaining to me. Like, if they would have made it like Diablo, where it's like, every time we kill a boss, there's an upgrade for me, and same thing with a sub-boss, and they were doing more interesting stuff, I'd be like, fuck yeah, but it's not that way. They made it the Warcraft way, but the thing that they forgot is they're making a shooter, not a game like World of Warcraft, and they don't have the luxury of World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV's pacing. You know, they have to have the pacing of a Diablo or a Borderlands to keep people interested. Because no one's going to want to grind those same strikes over and over. Because, like Anthony said, the bosses don't have phases. They're just giant bullet sponges.
Yeah, it kind of kills the variety, and this is like one of the worst parts too. It drags. Because... And, like, frickin' people are totally okay with doing, like, a frickin' boss that... It was a boss that would take, like, frickin' 15 or 20 minutes straight to kill. But in MMO, in a traditional MMORPG, you kind of don't really pay attention to that because a well-designed 20-minute boss fight revolves around lots of phases, everyone doing a lot of complicated things, and making that little ounce of progress after, like, dying 100 times. In Destiny, it's just basically you trying to shoot bullets for a long period of time and hoping you don't get blasted to pieces.
I mean, there are some good fights in Destiny. Like, there's that one on the hill with the Gate Lord, where they keep spawning in ads that come down the hill, but you're also fighting the Gate Lord. Like, that was a pretty solid fight. But for the most part, most of the fights aren't as good as that one. Most of them are, like, bullet sponge him while he fires rockets at me. And it's just not compelling. That said, fighting standard enemies is great. Like, I love the Corm shooting in this game. Like,
oh yeah, it's great.
You know,
I mean, if you think about it, the shooting in the game isn't exactly too special because from the perspective of a hunter, it's like, I've got a grenade, I've got a throwable knife, I've got 2 weapons and a heavy weapon, and I can sprint and shoot things. So it's kind of basic, but they tuned it really well. So while it may not seem new, doesn't seem complex, or doesn't seem like innovative, they tuned it really well, and I like that.
Yeah, like that's very smart. That they did the pacing really well. They, like the way that the fights work, it's a lot of fun. It's just the boss fights are slow. There's not enough. You don't feel like you're progressing. The game is very grindy. The story sucks. And despite all these complaints, I still had a lot of fun with the game. But it just feels like it didn't know what it wanted to be. Like it has I talk about games being more than the sum of their parts. Like a game that is more than the sum of parts, like you hear about it and you hear about how the mechanics work, and you're like, this shouldn't be as good as it is. Destiny is the opposite of that. It's like, this game should be a lot greater than it is, but it just didn't come together well. And I think part of that was a lack of focus, because a lot of times games need to serve a purpose. And Destiny, it's like, okay, it's a shooter. No, it's a loot game like Diablo. No, it's a pseudo MMO. No, it's, and it does all these different things, but with the exception of the core shooting, none of it feels like it's done, like it's the best that it could be.
Right. And so here's a question for you guys. Do you think that, because obviously with Destiny, they're coming out with their first expansion pack this December. They also announced the second expansion pack, but we don't know when that'll be coming out. Do you think there's any way that Bungie can, without releasing a Destiny 2, any way they can, I mean, the game's definitely not a failure by any means. They've made their money back and profit, but for lack of a better word, save the game?
The way I see it is that a good example would be Final Fantasy 14. When it came out, A Realm Reborn 2.0. When they came out, it had kind of a lot of issues with it. It wasn't really easy to, they didn't have a way for you to find a party, so you constantly had to go around shouting out to everybody in a particular area, hey, I need people for this thing, or hey, I need people for this thing. It's like there's room for improvement that they can definitely do with these expansions and patches.
The fact that this game doesn't have an auction house either is a fucking crime. This game, last night I needed to get an upgrade from one of my pieces of armor. I needed spin metal. So I had to spend a goddamn hour on Earth in the early level zones just running around killing shit till I found spin metal. And I was like, I really wish this game had an auction house so I could just buy this. Why doesn't this game have an auction? Why can't I trade gear?
Yeah, all you can do is dismantle it and you'll get some glimmer for it.
Which is the in-game currency. Why the
Which
fuck?
is pointless, though. What can you get with the glimmer that actually does anything for you once you get to the higher levels?
I mean, you still need glimmer to buy the epic gear, but you also need marks.
Well, yeah. So at that point, it's like, yeah, I don't know. A lot of things they definitely could have executed on a lot better.
Yeah,
but do you guys think it's something that they can improve on and fix, or do you think it's?
Oh, I definitely think they can. It's just that I'm really tired of, people saying that, oh no, the game really starts at da-da-da. I'm like, no, motherfucker, the game starts when I start the game. And I look at World of Warcraft, I look at Final Fantasy, and people are like, well, those games are slow starts, those games are slow to level. And I'm like, yes, but at least the core leveling is entertaining. Doing quests in Final Fantasy is entertaining. Doing quests in World of Warcraft, I'm sure Anthony, if I asked him to point out memorable quests from Final Fantasy,
the day Deathwing came, Paladin Pals.
Yeah, you'd be able to do that. Well, those are WoW, but yes, if I could put, and Destiny, I can't other than the bosses, I can't tell you anything memorable about these strikes or these missions.
Right.
You're remembering more scenery moments more than actual gameplay moments. There was a strike mission on Mars, and we got a nice view. I'm like, ooh, that's a nice view. But that's the only thing I really think much about the strike. Everything else was, oh no, another obnoxious boss fight with a revolving shield that makes no sense.
Why didn't they just build a shield around everything? This is really dumb.
It's let's have a half shield that will revolve slowly, because in the centuries in Destiny, they haven't figured out how to make shield tech work correctly. Genius!
I think back, I think to WoW, in particular, about its quest, I'm like, there's the Kung Fu Master one, there's the Jade Forest War, there's so many things I think that different storylines from that game. Final Fantasy, if I played it, I could probably do the same thing. And in this, it's just I went to Russia, I killed a bunch of dudes, and then fought a boss. And
the only thing I remember the only thing I remember from old Russia is, this is where you started in the game. This is where you found your ship. And I struggled to remember anything else. I struggled to remember anything else.
I mean, I remember fighting Republo, which is the giant eyeball boss, Circus Prime. And the only reason I remember that is because I was chatting with a friend of mine, a brief chat about politics, and we made up this narrative about how this boss is the Lord of Republicans. He is Republo, their god. So, Like that, like that's funny. I mean, most of my good memories have been just from moments in PvP where, like, I was playing territories with my friend Josh, and their entire team was on one territory, and I used my super to kill them all and just yell, "Get fucked, boy!" Like that, it's shit like that. And it feels like there are pieces for really awesome games here. Like, I feel like, but none of it is the complete thing. I'm like, man, this is a really good competitive shooter. It's just missing a couple bits. Man, this could be a really compelling, like, Diablo type thing. And it's none of these.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Like, it'll be interesting to have this conversation again, let's say 6 months, a year.
Games like this evolve all the time. Like, I remember when World of Warcraft came out in 2004, it's like, there was no such thing as Battlegrounds. There was, a lot changed. There's no such thing as Battlegrounds, no such thing, like, all the there was one auction house per faction. So you couldn't go to the auction house in every faction's capital. Stuff like that they will obviously iterate on as they hear from players. It's just right now at launch, it doesn't feel like the next WoW or the next Diablo or the next even Borderlands. It feels like you guys made a solid game that had a lot of potential, but most of it squandered.
Right. I agree. It'll be interesting to see how this game plays out.
One last thing. The game looks and the music are fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah, the game looks amazing.
And the music is so good. Like, I want to download this game's soundtrack for sure. Like, it's great.
Yeah, the game definitely looks really, really good. So definitely no complaints there. But we'll move on to the next topic. Like I said, we'll be doing a spoiler cast, and we'll go even more in depth. Plus, there's also 60-minute access, where we talk about it quite a bit.
It's actually 90-minute access for that game.
90-minute access. So
this week you're probably gonna get 15-minute access. Like, I'm desperately looking through my collection right now for something interesting.
So moving on to the next news story, or the first news story, Horizon. So information has leaked about Guerilla Games' new IP. It's called Horizon, features, and what we know from art that's been leaked, it features robotic dinosaurs, there's a red-headed protagonist, it's supposed to be some open-world, post-apocalyptic future, and it resembles a lot of The Witcher. So that's what we're hearing. It's supposed to be this big open-world game, this with NPCs and just all types of craziness going on. There's not much more news other than that. It's rumored to be announced at E3 next year as a 2016 game, not 2015, a 2016 game. So it's a game that it's in its very initial stages. But yeah, does this bring any interest to you guys?
Robotic
dinosaurs.
Yeah, that part sounds cool.
I mean, if I remember one thing about that Transformers trailer from the last Super Bowl, Bronson and I were just kind of sitting there the whole time while eating spicy barbecue chicken wings. And
Buffalo wings are the best.
Yeah, and we were like watching the trailer for the new Transformers on TV, and we just thought this is really dumb until we caught like a 1-second glimpse of like a flying dinosaur, whatever you call it, Velociraptor or something like that. And we both admitted it was absolutely dumb, like Transformer movies, but we had to admit that the subconscious primal bits of our brains were excited about mech dinosaurs, as dumb as it was. It's like a childhood dream come true.
Like fucking giant robot dinosaurs.
I forget, giant dinosaur, giant T-Rex with Optimus Prime riding on the back of it holding a mech sword. Like, what the hell?
What fucking fever dream is this? This is amazing.
It's like, this is like something that Saints Row could do, just wouldn't be as bad as the movie. It would actually be better. Saints
Row would make fun of it, like, knowingly. And just like, it's a fucking dinosaur. first off, I always choose the British accent for my Saints Row character, so
British accent is awesome.
it's the best
Nolan
one.
North is there too.
Nolan North and Troy Baker is the voice in the fourth one. So you have Troy Baker and Nolan North, the two.
Troy Baker's in every damn game.
So is Nolan North.
Some voice
Yeah.
actors, when you see them, they get a lot. Keith David is one of them.
Keith David's in a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, freaking military ads, military games. Yep.
Yep. Halo. He's in Halo. He's the Arbiter. Keith
Yeah,
David
that
is
too.
He's in Mass Effect. God damn, Keith David is in a lot of shit.
But yeah, I don't know. It's very. I mean, like I said, the concept art's just of like big robotic dinosaurs, and like I said, we can hear it's supposed to be like The Witcher, and we can hear this, we can hear that.
I mean,
we
The
don't really
Witcher's
know
a great.
until we actually really see it and actually know more about the game. But it's good. I mean, we've been hearing a lot rumors about what's next from Guerilla Games. They're obviously working on something, and they said they're not working on Killzone. So they're pursuing this big. It's supposed to be an RPG. This big RPG. It's supposed to be a third-person shooter, according to the leaked information. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But it's supposed to be announced at next E3.
I think that has the potential to be really interesting. I'm just, until I see something, I'm just kind of like, oh, great, more rumored info. I don't care because, hey, Batman has a release date. It's coming out in June. Holy shit.
The one thing's for sure, though, if it's a Guerrilla Games game, the game will look unbelievably amazing.
It'll look very pretty, I am sure. You go look at Killzone 3, Killzone 2, even now, those games still look really good.
Yeah, Killzone Shadowfall. Oh man, I remember the first time I played that, I was just like, wow.
Yeah, there's some scenes in Shadowfall where I'm just like, holy shit. So I'm curious, but because all those dudes have made ever is Killzone, so it's gonna be interesting to see.
Are you sure?
They may. Yeah, I'm pretty sure all that those dudes
Didn't they make Black?
No, I think that was someone different, I believe. No, they didn't make Black because Guerrilla's owned by Sony and EA published Black. So
I thought for sure Guerrilla Games has done more than Killzone.
I'm pretty sure they've only done Killzone. I'll look it up after this Destiny match.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've done more, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, I know it's exciting. I'm a big fan of the Killzone games. I think the Killzone games they're very good. They look unbelievable. But I think the gameplay is really good on the game. The multiplayer is really fun. Overall, I just love Killzone, and the story of them's not too bad either. I mean, for a first-person shooter, the story's not bad at all.
I think the story's fine. I think dislikable person in the history of video games, or one of.
Who's that?
He's that one black dude who shoots Vasari. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It has a lot of potential to be good because that is a good studio. But I'm like, I want to see tangible things, trailers, gameplay, etc. Because I mean, how many times have we heard someone's working on blank and it's just we never hear about it or it doesn't live up to the hype?
Yeah. Whatever happened to Agent?
What? Yeah, what did happen to Agent? What happens to a lot of these goddamn games?
Yeah, so Guerrilla Games did do one other game besides Killzone.
What was it?
Shell Shock Nam 67.
That game, I remember it coming out being an okay original Xbox game. It was solid.
So yes, that's the only other game. The rest of their games are Killzone. So it'll be interesting to see them go at it with a new franchise. So. Like I said, the rumor is that we'll hear about it next E3. So we've got about how long? About 9 months till next E3. So we got a while. But yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Big fan of the studio. Cool. So moving on to the next news story. Grand Theft Auto 5 has been dated for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the PC. It'll be coming out on November 18th for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, January 27th for the PC. The Rockstar has confirmed that the PC version is releasing so late because they wanted to optimize and properly develop the game for the PC. But yeah, so they released a new trailer, there's new screenshots, and holy crap. Have you guys seen the new screenshots and trailer?
No.
What game again?
Holy crap. Grand Theft Auto 5 on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
I saw the new trailer. It looks really good. That I will say.
So,
I just remember the... This is going to be a little funny to Nick. I remember we watched actually a trailer for Grand Theft Auto 5 for PS4 when we were at the Sony press conference, and I don't remember much about that trailer other than everything looked prettier, and the fact that they actually put immovable gauge needles on the dashboard of cars. And
only Anthony would
and
notice
only
that.
someone like me would be so obsessed over the freaking dashboard of an automobile, like freaking Drive Club, Grand Theft Auto 5, and most recently, and Gran Turismo 6, where when Nick told me, "Hey, patch 1.12," and I'm like, "Huh, that's interesting." So I looked at the internet. Gran Turismo 6 patch 1.12, you can put custom gauges in his car. So I freaking threw the disc into my PS3. I freaking went in the morning. Took like 30 minutes to install the patch, and then I took my Toyota hatchback and shoved an oil pressure gauge onto the dashboard just to watch the little thing work as I drove this tiny little economy car around a track. Yeah, I've got problems.
Oh man, if you want to make a racing game and excite Anthony, don't worry about anything else. Just make sure the gauges move.
And if you light up all those lights and I can push a button to start the car, I tell you, I will like you. Okay, Forza 4 sort of did that, except they didn't do it right. Because they were focusing more on the audio than the actual light up of the lights on the dashboard. But anyways, yeah, because again, it's like anybody can make a car drive well. Forza and Gran Turismo and Driver San Francisco figured that out. Anybody can get the speedometer to move.
Anyone would, because when we played The Crew, I was not impressed with how that game drives.
Well, people have already figured out how to get good driving physics. Burnout Paradise, Forza, Gran Turismo, Driver San Francisco. They can also make interiors happen. Forza does a decent job with its interiors. I like the interior work that they did in Forza 5. The premium cars interiors in GT6 are freaking amazing considering it's a PS3 game. But no one's ever bothered to say, until Drive Club at least, say the dashboard is something that you actually look at. To me, that is like a small detail where if you work on it, I get stoked. Like, they talk a lot about how they do all the detailing on every single bolt on the engine. That's really cool and all. But here's the problem. To me, an engine spends most of its time hidden under the hood or the bonnet. Okay? Whereas the dashboard of a car, I don't know, I look at it all the time. I watch the fuel gauge slowly go down as we drive to E3, and, you know, watch as the engine get a little too hot as I'm driving up a hill in a really hot day. You know, stuff like... Actually, come to think of it, the only people who simulated those gauges correctly in my memory is like NASCAR Racing 2002 season.
I don't know, I guess for me, it's just not too big of a deal for me because I never play with the in-dash view. I'm sure if I did, I would probably be very similar. It's just when I play a racing game, I have the full car view. I don't ever play with in-dash. That's just not how I play racing games. So that's probably why it's not really anything big for me. But yeah, the Grand Theft Auto 5, they've released new screenshots, and it's just jaw-dropping the difference. It's unbelievable, the difference between the last generation and the new generation. So, what do you guys think? Is it something you guys are going to pick up? I know I will be. I was going to, but after seeing this, I was definitely sold. Like, I was like, yeah, I'll probably get it, but now it's like, yeah, I'm definitely getting it.
I feel like for me it is...
Sorry, for me, it comes down to if I can get it cheaper than $50 or $60. Yes, it looks way
Yeah, it's
better.
releasing at supposedly it's releasing at $50. So
Which if it releases at 50 and then GameStop does the same promotion they did for Last of Us, absolutely, no question, we'll immediately, you know, like we'll absolutely go buy it, no issues. But if it's like 50, $60 and like no real trade value for trading in the old one, then yeah, I probably will wait till price drop. There are way too. I'm sorry, there are way too many games coming out. Smash Brothers, Bayonetta, Halo, Persona Ultimax, Theater Rhythm, like, yeah, it's too much stuff.
How about you, Anthony?
It's if it is mostly the same as the Grand Theft Auto 5 I played on the PS3, I'd say it's more like a $20-$30 thing for me. So it's like when it comes out, I'm like, yeah, I already played Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah, basically I'm paying for a game that looks a lot nicer, runs a lot better. Freaking, I don't know how they got that thing to run on a PS3. I mean, it's incredible, but it looks a lot better. But if it is at its core pretty much kind of like the same game, that's like a $20-$30 game. But if they announce Grand Theft Auto 5 and then say, hey, we're gonna throw in the next expansion, kind of like, the Lost and the Damned and Valid Gay Tony. Yeah, like if they somehow threw in the next expansion and it's included with this new GTA 5 remake, yeah, I'll pay $40-$50 for it. Yeah, I would, because it's like, I mean, at this point, my PS3 is kind of retired. I mean, like, the last thing I would ever think about playing on is maybe Tales of Sinistra, and that's it. That's like, like my PS3 is in retirement now, so it's kind of like, if they announce Grand Theft Auto 5 and it comes with like a new significant expansion, kind of like Lost and the Damned in GTA 4, yeah, I'll buy the new GTA 5.
Yeah, I think it's going to do very well just from the standpoint of the game came out like a month or two before these new consoles came out. It came out like September. These consoles came out in October, November. So I think because I know for me, I didn't play as much of this game as I wanted to, just because the new consoles were coming out. I was so excited for the new consoles that I didn't really invest as much time into Grand Theft Auto 5 as I had wanted to. So for that reason, yeah, absolutely, I want to play through the game again on the PlayStation 4, and I can't wait. So.
Okay, so I got a new story here. D4, the Xbox One exclusive by the fine folks who made the cult classic Deadly Premonition, will be hitting Xbox One Marketplace tomorrow in Japan. So don't get too excited, but it's coming. It'll be $15. So they said it's going to be hitting America shortly. Deadly Premonition was an awesome game that had a shit ton of problems.
Well, no. Deadly Premonition was so bad and lousy that you thoroughly enjoyed it. It's the good kind of a bad game.
That game.
It's like you like that game, and you like. It has that quality that makes games. It's like that thing where you cook it. Does it put a smile on your face? I mean, if you think about it at the most basic level of a game, does it put a smile on your face? Well, Deadly Premonition definitely gets that done. It's a terrible game. It plays awful. The frame rate is just complete absolute garbage. It has like a really dumb plot of freaking Francis York driving through freaking a rainstorm with no seatbelt.
He talks to himself. His imaginary friend.
He talks to himself. You've got squirrels that sound like monkeys out in Washington. It makes no sense. But it's awesome, and it puts a smile on your face, and that's kind of why you're playing the game at the end of playing games at the end of the day, right?
I remember in 2010 we gave that game a couple of awards, and it deserved them all.
It's hilariously bad, but that's the great news. You love it because it was bad.
It does have some good stuff to it, though. The story in that game's really good. The story's really good. It has good music. That whistle theme is unbelievably catchy. That game has some good stuff to it. But I remember the first time I was exposed to that game was Giant Bomb's Let's Play. And I remember them talking about it during the Game of the Year awards. and it sounded like post-traumatic stress disorder. The way they talked about, like, oh god, don't bring it up. Just no. Because if you're aware of a Let's Play, their Let's Play rules are very similar to ours. If we start a Let's Play, we finish the game. No matter what. This is both good and bad. As you saw with Okami, I'm sure.
That was long. Chrono Trigger was even worse.
Chrono Trigger was actually a lot better. Like Chrono Trigger was 22 hours versus Okami, which was 38-ish.
Oh wow, I was way off.
Yeah, like Chrono Trigger, in my opinion, was pretty much perfect length. Like 4 or 5 months, a good 50 episodes, like that. Yeah, that's not bad. Penny Arcade was really good too, especially because we had a couple moments in there. And Penny Arcade's a really easy game to talk about because it just has a lot of weird shit going on in it. Like the fact that you can just randomly change genders in the middle of the game. Yeah, so I don't know. It's Let's Plays are one of those things that we're going to continue to do them, but our next one is very far off. Like I'm constantly thinking of what I want to do for our next Let's Play, but on the other side of that, I am absolutely, not. Like, just... Whew. Yeah, man. Anthony, how would you feel about doing another Let's Play anytime soon?
Can we wait until January?
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, no, not January. February. January, we're a little busy.
At minimum,
we could be busy. I should say. I'm sorry.
Yeah, at minimum, a new year. Like that. I'm sorry, you motherfuckers. I know you haven't all watched through all of Okami, so you have a good backlog until we're ready for the next one. We've talked about Halo 2. We've talked about Catherine. What's some other ones we've discussed? Penny Arcade 4 is obviously an obvious one because it's just as short as the last one, and it's the last one ended on a cliffhanger, so that was an obvious one. I don't know, Nick, what would you like to see us Let's Play?
Destiny. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, Bronson, let's play Warlords of Draenor. We're never gonna finish.
I don't know. I think Grand Theft Auto
Every
5
episode
would be
is
a
us
good
failing
one.
at the latest raid.
I think Grand Theft Auto 5 would actually be a good one.
GTA 5 would actually be a pretty good one. That's not a bad.
Yeah,
option.
GTA 5 is not bad. That's pretty good. Like it has to be action related and kind of fast paced because I'm pretty sure that no one really enjoys me being lost in the middle of a field in Okami countless times.
I think that Chrono Trigger was a good mix.
Chrono Trigger just happened to have that good balance between we didn't really need a guide to finish it, at least as far as I can remember. We sort of got a bit lost, but it kind of challenges just enough, and it was like the right length too.
And also, that game had so many great moments for us. It's just like, what do you mean you didn't upgrade your weapons the entire game?
We must have a criminal justice system to punish these fiends, which, when I read that for the first time, I'm like, what?
You mean you don't have a criminal justice system?
Frick it. Yeah, it was like, what have you guys been doing this whole time? But
I enjoyed Brian Davis's talk about the criminal justice. It was just like, yeah, man, things were pretty fucked when we had that candy bartering system.
Seriously. When it comes to Chrono Trigger, the Super Nintendo version's the best. I mean, I have the DS version. It's still an awesome game, but they tweaked some of the songs a little bit, and they, quote, fixed, unquote, some of the translations. Frog doesn't speak in Old English anymore.
That was the saddest thing for me.
And that's like, the DS version is totally awesome. It's a great game. It's still Chrono Trigger, and I love the dual screens. But if you want to know the real 100% true magic of Chrono Trigger, you buy the Super Nintendo version. Or at least on the Virtual Console, at least.
Yeah, like, get the Virtual Console one. We played it on Wii. like that. Oh god, Chrono Trigger is so good. What was another one that was? I think Deadly Premonition has potential, but the amount of patience that I would have to, because I'm playing the next one, so that means like the amount of patience I would have to play Deadly Premonition. So there's a lot of good games that we could do. We at one point we will do Penny Arcade 4. It's just it might not be the next one. I know that we've taught like Halo 2 is the one that, and Catherine keeps taking out of my mind. If we had a female that was doing a Let's Play with us, I would say let's do Catherine immediately. Because that game has some very... I call Catherine the game that you cannot play with your significant other unless you want to ruin your relationship.
That game is that serious, isn't it?
Yeah, that game asks you serious questions about love and relationships and shit like that. Like, it literally asks you questions about them.
So use it as a self-exploration moment, just not when your significant other is literally sitting right next to you, seeing what decisions you're making right on the TV.
Yeah, like, I would love to see Nick or John play this with their girlfriends. It would be great.
I think Nick would say the game wouldn't interest him before he even got to the first decision.
Yeah, very true.
Because it is a kind of like this... It's a puzzle game with pretty awkward controls.
Yeah, that's just
he's getting
not,
used
that's
to.
That's not my type of game at all.
John might play it.
That's
get John.
just
Oh
not
my
game
god!
at all.
From what I've heard about John's girlfriend, she would murder him after playing that together.
Oh joy!
So, oh man, I don't know. They're like I said, Catherine. If you play that with your significant other, you're not gonna have a significant other pretty quickly, unless you lie. Unless you lie during those questions. Oh.
It's like, well, you better hope that's like your second or third playthrough, because the first time you play through a game, you kind of just you go off instinct on what you think, right? The second or third time, because you already know what outcome the game has for you, you're like, okay, I just want to experiment. Like, if I were to go and play The Walking Dead Season 1 again, I already played through the game with decisions that I felt were personally the best. Well, if I were to play that game a second or third time, I would just do a really stupid thing like, I want to see what happens when Lee kills this guy. I want to see what happens when Lee's... I want to see what happens when there's Silent Lee.
That is the most hilarious way to play The Walking Dead, by the way. You can play that entire game without you picking a single dialogue choice, and it's just Silent Lee.
The silent protagonist. Time. It's like, what happens if you are the silent protagonist?
It's
very exciting.
So, that's all I got for news is the D4 stuff.
Yeah, it's been a slow news week. There just hasn't been much news because everyone's involved in Destiny right now.
I mean, this isn't out for another week. Theater Rhythm's out this week, but, Theater Rhythm. So, I don't know, man. We're gonna have to wait to get more news. Games are coming out. We're gonna be talking about games. You're gonna have all the 60-minute access you can handle soon.
Yeah, I'm excited for Sunset Overdrive.
Halo Collection, Bayonetta 2. There's Dragon Age. So, I don't know. Do we have any other news stories? Oh, actually, those Nintendo figures that you scan into games are now for pre-order.
Amiibos?
You can pre-order them.
How do you guys think that's gonna do?
I think it's gonna do really, really well.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that. I wouldn't say that they sell like hotcakes, but I imagine that with a lot of Nintendo fans out there, and the fact that normal Nintendo little statue figures are just hard to find in general, or just really expensive,
Is it gonna be priced competitively with like Skylanders?
Yeah, they're $13, so it's the same price camp. And there are currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them. So if you buy all of them, it'll be a little over, $160, about something like that.
Ouch.
Though, why the fuck would you buy Yoshi? What is wrong with you?
Deal with it, Bronson. You got beat by Yoshi in Mario Kart.
Oh, okay. Alright. Yoshi, you know what Yoshis are good for? Riding Yoshis and then having them drop into a fucking pit, and then it doesn't even fucking matter because you can go find another Yoshi. They're fucking disposable. They are not the stars of video games.
Wow.
Wow, Bronson sounds very passionate about this subject.
Because the funny thing too is that in most Mario games that you play in a party setting, like Mario Kart and Mario Party and Super Mario Strikers, I always play as Yoshi. So now I know that I have extra incentive to beat Bronson now whenever we play Mario games because I want to beat Yoshi. Sorry, I want to beat Bronson playing as Yoshi. Granted, I never played Yoshi's Island, so it doesn't make it that meaningful, but,
I don't like Yoshi, but that Yoshi's Woolly World game looks amazing. It looks like the cutest thing in the history of ever.
And the fact that Bronson says it's the cutest game
Kirby's
ever and he
Epic
wants to
Yarn
buy
came
it, I
pretty
find
close.
quite comical.
Kirby's Epic Yarn was pretty darn cute, too.
Kirby's Epic Yarn was adorable. That game was also adorable.
It's so cute.
You just want to hug everything.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know about the Kirby. Like, personally, I actually prefer Kirby more than Yoshi. So when I saw, like, Yoshi's Woolly Yarn World, I forgot what it's called, I was like, ooh, that's cute, but Kirby's Epic Yarn is what comes out to my mind.
So these figures are already selling really well. Link, in particular, was an Amazon top 3 seller for a while there. So,
hey, did you know? Actually, speaking of Zelda stuff being top 1, you know Hyrule Historia?
Mm-hmm.
It's a $20 history of Legend of Zelda book, and it was like a freaking top 5 book seller on Amazon for like weeks because it was like. I mean, and I could totally see why too. It's like, how could you if you like Legend of Zelda, you can buy this book. It's all the pages are colored. It's a pretty good it's pretty decent quality. And it's all yours for $20. Like, that's like a freaking awesome bargain. It's a really awesome book. And as for but I don't know about the Link figure because the Link figure is $13. I'm not exactly the most stoked about a little figure because I don't know about paying $13 for something that will probably spend most of its entire time on my desk.
This is what it says about them. Team up with your amiibo or play against friends in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. Customize your amiibo by adjusting their offensive and defensive skills. You can build your characters to level 50, and you tap into the gamepad and they come to life in different games. So there'll be more games that support this as they come out. The first one will be Mario Kart and Smash Bros. As for the first set of figures, it's going to be Peach, Donkey Kong, Fox, Kirby, Link, Mario, Marth, Pikachu, Samus, the Villager, Wii Fit Trainer, and Yoshi. Why is Captain Falcon not in here?
Yeah, I actually kind of agree. You probably could dump Yoshi and put Captain Falcon in.
Yoshi's
like a Captain Falcon figure is kind of...
Yoshi's a symbolic Nintendo character though. Like he's a
Captain Falcon. Okay, I would argue.
I'm not gonna have this discussion.
Let's
Captain
be honest
Falcon
here.
has his own entire franchise.
More people know, but more people know who Yoshi is versus Captain Falcon. Yoshi is a much more mainstream character.
He is, but the fact that Captain Falcon isn't one of these figures disappoints me so much, and Marth is. The fuck. That said, I think these are going to do really well. I think they're Nintendo figures are hard to find, and they're especially hard to find ones that are priced this well. They look pretty good from what I saw at E3. I'm definitely gonna pick up Mario. I'll probably pick up Mario, Link, and the Villager. So just pick up the Villager to like put on people's desks to give them nightmares.
Actually, the Villager doesn't scare me that much because it's not like the Villager. Well, what you have to do is you're gonna have to position the Villager amiibo, if it's possible, to look like he's trapping somebody. Because otherwise, it could be he's chasing a butterfly, he's chasing some seashells on the beach, he's chasing some little bugs to sell to the frickin' recycle shop for 500 bells to help pay off the loan shark raccoon. Yeah, you kind of.
That'd be the real terrifying one, the loan shark raccoon.
No, someone that owes you money, just put the loan shark raccoon on his desk.
Oh my god,
they will
I hope
understand. They will understand.
So, Microsoft bought Mojang. We forgot to talk about that.
$2.5 billion.
Minecraft 2, exclusively on Xbox One.
Too bad Notch left the company after he sold it. He sold it and then said peace.
I mean, can you blame him?
I'm sitting here right now just thinking, like, you know what? Like, I'm pretty sure he gave, like, say, like, it's personal reasons, this happened, because I didn't read into his reason, but you just can't help but think he made a good decision because he's not going to get the soul sucked out of him.
Yeah, well, I mean, Penny Arcade did a great comic about this, too. Can you believe Notch is going to sell Minecraft to Microsoft? Yes, I can. Minecraft is like his baby, though. I would sell an actual baby for $2 billion. I would sell my baby to... Hold on. I would sell my baby to the devil. Then I would enter my golden sarcophagus and begin the ritual. But anyway, Anthony, go ahead.
What?
Oh,
that was quite intense there.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So, I don't know, it's fine. I don't care enough about this to even really discuss it that much. Yay, Minecraft.
Here's the thing, like, if I was Microsoft, I'd rather them spend that $2.5 billion opening up 5 or 6 studios to make exclusive games. Like, come on. Like, if they really have that much money to blow, like, I'm not saying they're not blowing because they're going to make the money back, but I'm just saying, like, spend that money to open new studios.
Because new IP has the potential to cost a shit ton more money and not get them as much back.
Well, yeah, I know. I know why they did it. I'm just saying from a gamer's perspective.
Because, like, fuck, you go on Twitch right now. Like, hold on, let me go on Twitch. And Minecraft, I guarantee you, will be in the top 10. Yep. Top 12. Top 12 right now. It's League of Legends, Destiny, Hearthstone, Dota, Street Fighter. It's all the esports games and Destiny. Smash Bros, 3DS, Diablo, and Minecraft. So...
Oh, yeah, I mean, Minecraft, it's definitely worth $2.5 billion, don't get me wrong, because now, even on the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 and the Vita, Microsoft will be making money on the games that are sold on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 and Vita. And then they come out Minecraft 2, I don't even think that game is going to be exclusive. I think that game will be on all platforms, and Microsoft will cash in on it. They could make it exclusive, but I don't know.
Could you imagine how many people would buy Xbox Ones for Minecraft 2 exclusive on Xbox One? That Minecraft is huge.
That's very true, though. They could use it as a launch stone for the Xbox One.
I mean, Microsoft, like, fucking Minecraft, like, you want to talk about how popular Minecraft is? Minecraft in popularity is only beaten by League of Legends and Dota. I
really don't get that game either.
I get it. I get why. I don't personally like it, but I get it. You know, like, people like to create and fuck around and socialize, and that's all that game is it's creating, fucking around, and socializing. That's exactly why. And it appeals to young kids, too. That's another advantage it has. Like, young kids really like that game because, like, it's fucking Legos. They can create whatever they want to create.
Yeah, my brother was obsessed with that game.
Everyone I know was obsessed with that game at one point. I'm like, this is not for me. Like, I'm not a big exploration guy outside of a few exceptions. So usually the games I like are very skill based. Like I like, action games like Bayonetta, and if it's not skill based, it's thought based, like Persona, or Final Fantasy. So anyway, we should probably get to questions, I'm guessing.
Cool, let's move on.
I leveled to 23 in Destiny just after 2 days. What happened to this game never ending? We kind of discussed this to death.
And at level 23 in 2 days? Damn, dude.
What Nick and I are doing, or what Nick and I are
Did you not sleep for 2 days? Because I'm only
surprised
21 and I've played this game a lot.
I was surprised at the number of level 16s and above. On I didn't start playing Destiny until the day after it came out, and I was already seeing level 16s and 20s, and I'm like, I understand that a vast majority of people don't play Destiny, or they buy Destiny and they don't play excessively, but the people that are online, what is with it with so many of them being level 16?
Well, I mean, you gotta remember, let's think to when we were motherfucking teenagers. Let's rewind. Let's think, okay, you only really have responsibilities for 6 hours unless you work you have a sport or a part-time job. And even then, you have no responsibilities on weekends. So, I mean, theoretically, let's say you're playing from 4 to 12 at night, every night. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 8 hours during each day. So that's 16 hours. I mean, I think about 16 hours in Destiny, and I'm probably like, yeah, you probably hit level cap in that time. And if you have 2 days off in a row, or take the days off, that's 12 hours each day, and I can see that happening. I mean, I hit level 21 within an hour of turning level 20, just because I got a lucky gear drop. So, I don't know. That's... It's one of those things where... teenagers or people who are stay-at-home people have a lot more free time and they can just invest in that shit. Or possibly it's the only game they play, because we all here play multiple games and that kind of splits our time.
I'm still, though, 23 in 2 days? That's freaking unbelievable.
Yeah.
There are those kinds of people that that have so much time and energy, that or they have a buddy in their room playing the game for them also when they're sleeping.
Well, I mean, it's like, Anthony, you want to hear a really unbelievable one? Let's talk about the server first people in other MMOs.
Oh yeah,
you remember how long it took you to go to 80 to 85 back in Cataclysm, right?
Yes.
I was there when the guy who got server first for first 85 Hunter and Lothar got that achievement. It was 9 hours after the game launched on our server.
9 hours.
Yeah.
How do you even quest that fast?
Yeah,
see, I don't. Maybe one day we're gonna go on YouTube and we're gonna search in, something like, how to level an insane maniac, and we're gonna watch a video, and it's gonna be like watching one of those Guitar Hero people back in the day.
I mean, it's madness. Next question is from Solid Kratos. But remember, Bungie says the game doesn't start until you hit the cap. Oh, who am I kidding? That was BS. Well, excuse me while I play the shit out of some Velocity X2 and some All-Stars with my peeps. I don't know, there is more to the game once you hit the cap, but it's mostly a grind fest. As for playing Velocity X2, if you have a PlayStation 4 and a Plus membership, or a Vita and a Plus membership, you should absolutely play that game. It is
I should play that game. I have PlayStation Plus now.
It's good, dude. You should check it out. And PlayStation All Stars, if you have friends to play it, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, I forgot I forgot to mention. Nick and I were hoping this, as far as the game bringing out of content, is that they had just released the first raid for Destiny. Problem is, it's level 26, so nobody can really reach it. But What Nick and I are thinking is probably happening is that usually in a traditional MMO, everything is delivered in giant crates to your door. There's a big major patch every 3 months. In 3 months, there's going to be like 3 or 4 new dungeons, next big raid, new features, new classes, lots of big new features that you see, and it's one giant crate to your door. Whereas I think Bungie is doing we're going to deliver a package to you once or twice a week, instead of the giant crate every 3 months. So that way it just kind of gives people time to catch up, at the same time kind of stops the people that finish everything in like 9 hours. At least that's what I think, and I don't know what to think about that, because releasing things once every week is, it's kind of nice, but where I am right now, it's like they had just put out the raid. And currently in Destiny, I'm only level 19. Am I going to make it to level 26 anytime soon to do the first raid?
I mean,
Flat out, no.
I will probably be level 23 by the end of the week. So take that how you will. That said, I don't know. What would you guys give the game out of 10? I would give it an 8.
I'd give it an 8.5.
7.5 or an 8. Now you have to understand is that I'm not a big fan of shooters. So, and it's really hard for a shooter to impress me. Like, Gears of War 3 is a very good game, but I don't care for it. It usually takes something. There's only 2 shooters that I know. There's only 2 shooters I've ever truly liked. That's Halo Reach and Star Wars Battlefront 2. That's it. There are plenty of good shooters out there. Gears of War 3 is a good game. Pretty sure Borderlands is a good game.
Oh, that's amazing.
Halo Anniversary was a good game, but I just am not into shooters. But I very highly respect Destiny. I very highly respect it. I'd say, yes, this is a good game. Absolutely love the near perfection of how the controls are with the analog sticks and the reloads. Like, I love the controls. But I just don't love it. It's hard for me to love it. It just kind of has this sense of blandness about it.
I agree.
That's what I personally think.
Last customary comment. First off, Johnny Manziel apparently follows our website, everyone. So, take that how you will. Good to know that we have, we got famous people as fans. Good to know. Donnie, if you want to give us Browns tickets and flies to Cleveland, we'll go.
Yes, please. Preferably when you play the Steelers next.
Yeah, I'll take any game. Just to you fly us out, you set us up with tickets. We'll go watch the Browns. So, anyway, what would we do to make Destiny better? We discussed this. There's a lot of more frequent loose drops, less of a grind, better story. Yeah. Oh, also, the first raid was beaten within 15 hours of launching. It was beaten in 15 hours. So.
Crazy. Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Unscripted Access this week is probably gonna be weird because there's no new releases unless FIFA shows up at my house. I don't know if it will. In which that's gonna be just me making fun of soccer for an hour.
Probably best if I play that game for 60-minute access.
It'll be you and John.
No, not even John. It's me and Bremen.
Oh, of course.
Because we come from football countries. Get it?
Football. Oh, well, it's technically John's half Mexican, so.
True. Actually, that's true. I mean, it's kind of hard. It's kind of confusing. Like, one of these days, we kind of need to sit down and think. So, why is American football called football? Because in the rest of the world, soccer is called football because it makes sense. You play the sport with the most of, you use only your feet. You can't use your hands. But yeah. And whereas in American football, your feet only hits the ball if you're a punter or got dropped on the ground.
Okay, so yeah, that's it.
Cool.
We're on fucking YouTube, Facebook, all that good shit, Twitter.
Yes. So, cool. Thank you guys for listening. Please leave comments in the comment section. Questions, whatever you want to put in there, we'll read. Well, almost anything we'll read. Yeah, subscribe to us on iTunes. Keep coming to the website. We have a lot of content coming. Comment on our content. It's definitely appreciated. And we'll be back next week. And hopefully we'll have a episode of Spoiler Cast for Destiny before next week's podcast. So stay tuned to that. So that concludes it. Thank you guys for listening. We're out.